So welcome back to my YouTube channel where we discuss everything that has to do with movie review and all the neat and good that are going on in the industry. Definitely, I'm really happy. I'm happy for the turnout of everybody loves Jennifer. That's been amazing. You guys have been really amazing. You guys have shown me love. You guys have liked, share, comment, and subscribed. And you guys have recommended my movies. You have posted on your status, tell a lot of people to come watch my video, and it's very impressive. The numbers are very impressive. I really appreciate you, and it's just what it is. Probably I'm still basking in the euphoria of the movie Seven Doors as it is how I want to review it as it is. You know, it is one thing that is for sure. Uncle Femi Adebayo has done, trust me, has made a classic, and it's not going to leave the sound of time anytime soon. Trust me, it's not going to leave the sound of time. What really marvels me about this movie is just the attention to details, the excellence. It is one thing to tell a story; it's another thing to want to do a lot of things to make the story an excellent one, not meant for the fools. Because Nigerians, we are not fools. We have seen a lot of movies. We have seen a lot of better movies. We have seen movie makers. We've seen Nollywood, Hollywood, other films outside Nigerians, and we know what it takes to have like to wow Nigerians. Because trust me, the okay that is high now. The okay that is high, and we as viewers, we're expecting more than the script. Because I think I was telling someone that we have Nigerian viewers and as a whole, we've gone beyond telling stories, because we've been acquainted to different stories since advent of cinema, the advent of filmmaking in Nigeria, since the days of Baba Ogunde. And I could say, I might be wrong, I could say that a lot of scripts generally, stories generally, has been exhausted, and there is virtually no stories that we've not seen before, and that's the truth. So what makes it better? What makes people appreciate your project these days is just the technicality. Because think of any story, think of any societal issue, think of anything, any cadre, any genre that Nollywood, Hollywood have not touched. Maybe there are still some, but we've tried a lot of things. Nollywood has tried a lot of things, and we accepted some, we rejected some. So we are at a point now that we are looking for technicalities and not just storylines. And that is why this Seven Door is a rave of the moment. You would agree with me that this movie is not a success because of the story. It would have been like a shallow film if there was no much effort that was put into the cinematography, that was put into the costume, that was put into the action, that was put into set design, that was put into costume, that was put into wanting to prove the realness in everything that was displayed in this film. And that is why the movie is a rave of the moment, and not just the script. Of course, there are a lot of outstanding performances from this film. I must not deny that, from Femi Adebayo himself, Choma Akbota, Aliu Gafadi, Esusu, um, Kola JMA, and the host of others that performed well. And I don't think there was any actors that really performed less, in my opinion. Trust me, there was no really actors that performed less, and everybody brought their again. And one of the things that people have been saying is that this movie is not the kind of movie, it's not like the regular epic and the other movies that is dominant in Yoruba industry, that has been like the same faces. Femi Adebayo tried as much as possible to bring new, if at all not new faces, but faces that have not been in the circle. It belongs to an association where they tend to use themselves in their movies. But as much as it wanted to do that, it still created a balance in introducing new faces. Although there are still a lot of faces that are known from Yoruba industry, which are not bad. Trust me. Bringing the likes of Yewande Adekoya, Ronke Odusoya, Wumi Toriola, and that girl Aisha Lawa, and a lot of oldies. I mean, his father Adebayo Salami, Bankare Saka, and Uncle Jide Kosoko, and most of them. I think he has really done well in bringing this to the success of this movie. This movie is a brilliant one, and I must say with my mouth wide open that this is one of the best movie of 2024, and nobody's going to debate that. Trust me, nobody's going to debate that. So let's get right, for the sake of formality, let's get right into the synopsis. This film follows the journey of a man burdened by the sins of his forefathers, enduring immense loss, including the death of his first child and only daughter, and coming close to losing his last child and only son. Despite these challenges, he ultimately achieves victory, though not with significant struggles. Trust me, the first thing that struck me, that really got me glued to my screen, was the attention to details. The movie was set in between the 80s, 70s, if I'm not mistaken, and a flash to the time of the antiquity, that is the settings of a rural environment. And what really marvels me, and the first thing that caught my attention, was the attention to details, the old lace. In fact, it was so detailed to the cinematography. At a point, I thought it was my network that was a little bit raspy, but I got to discover that that was how they wanted the feel to be, like a vintage feel. The olden houses, the cars, the B2 cars, the attention. They made sure there was no disruption of probably so many tiled roads, the old houses, the drinks, the pots, the service, the old ambience was given the time that it was set in, and which is very, very excellent. I think I've not seen any movies that as detailed as that. I must be very sincere. As much as I have a lot of issue with the script, the screenplay, the continuity, but I tried as much as possible to find fault in the set design, because of course they cannot be 100% accurate, but they tried their best, including the money spent. I was almost like wanting to get which of the currency that was spent, but they tried and give me what exact thing that I needed, and which I really need to give it to them. Oftentimes it's not something that we see. There's always some hiccup there or there, but he made sure, the production crew made sure everything was perfect, to the drink, to the old Fanta, to the old goat spot, to the cup, to the abadashe. All of those. I think it's applaudable. It's very applaudable, and I must give it to him on that. Another thing that really got my attention, that made this film an outstanding one, is the cinematography. I've been keeping my eyes on Adebayo Tijani, and since the days of Jagun Jagun, Ageshin Koli, and all these epic movies that he has been involving himself. It does not just direct. He makes sure he oversees the perfect cinematography shots. In fact, last year I think he won the best director for me, outside the other directors that were doing um classic films. It did it for me because he oversees the cinematography, he oversees the coloring and the grading. Trust me, this movie has one of the best color grading this year. And that is no cap. And that is no for it, that is no cap. The cinematography shots, the drone shots, the under shots, everything is perfect. And I was like, where did this man come from? This the whole world needs to know about Adebayo, and that is that and that's not on a joking side, because this man has put in the work. I think the problem that he has is probably he's been seen as the normal random Yoruba director, but this man is doing a lot of work for the culture, and he needs to be recognized, and maybe he will get his flower anytime soon. One of the things that made this film the talk of town, the talk of the town, is the badass visual effects. Trust me, this is one of the biggest, the most challenging, especially from Akim Onilobo, and from the log of woods. Even though I've felt a little bit edgy about it, but the effort was put into it to make it real. The old man king that was unable to see death. The scene where then a guy was macheted, and several other things where they needed the visual effect. It was 100%. I think that is the length they could go, but they made sure it was like the most the most thing they could do at that particular time, and they gave the best shot. They really gave the best shot, and it is one of the most challenging visual effects that I must see on it, because they did quite numbers of stuff within the location, which could have been really, really challenging and must have required a lot of hands on deck. It is a great one, trust me. The visual effects is a great one. The number one thing that I find quite funny is the part where they didn't explain. It might be very, very possible that a city boy who has not spent, who we did not know, who there was no background for, or must have been told out, or must have been taught how to do all these local incantations. There was no part where it was taught, because it wasn't as if used. Maybe it would have been heard of if he had used like 10 years on Trump before the whole issue started coming up, or probably if there was no issue at all, it should have made sense that within the space of 10 years he has learnt the whole culture, he has learnt the whole incantation thing that he did almost at the end of the movies, as all, and the times that he was trying to put up some incantations. He was portrayed as a city boy who who does not really like the old family and the tradition thing, that was forced to become the king, and along the line started making some incantations that would have required a proper learning, and there was no foundational background of the viewers knowing that, okay, this guy was taught, or he learned the culture and the spiritual aspect of the kingship. There was no foundation of that, and I was like, these people should have, probably they would have, if there was no space for them to chip it in, that it was taught, at least there should have been a prep class that was shown to the viewers that, okay, it was taught how to make these incantations. Come on, this is an excusable, or this is an excusable offense to the viewers, but I just need to point it out to them. I know I was not the only one who was expecting the greedy chiefs to meet the Waterloo. What happened to them? What was their end? Was there no justice for those that they killed? Was there no justice for those that they overthrown their lands? These are questions that we need to ask. I know this question will not only be in my mind, because there are a lot of questions that I need to ask. At least they should have met the water, because I think the whole record started from them, and they should have just, in one way or the other, get the people that they killed, or the people that they overthrown their land, they get justice. And if I thought they were not dethroned, but it was shown that one way or the other they met the Waterloo, and which is a really big offense, which is like an error. It makes the script, it makes the storyline incomplete, because if you are trying to push out a story or a narrative where every sinner doesn't go unpunished, then I think there's a flop there, and I really need to point it out. Was I the only one who felt like this movie would have been less episodes than 6 episodes, probably 3 or 2? I felt a little bit underwhelming at the point. It was at the point it was raised, and at the point I didn't want to finish the whole movie, because it was like we were jumping from one story to another, from the story of, it was the chiefs that caused this Waterloo. Then we jumped to the forefathers. Now the forefathers, we've known what the forefathers has done. Then there was another solution. Then it was just so much that, it was just so much for us to, as me especially, to assimilate. It would have made sense if the chairman, the babalawo, have told him that, okay, the best thing, or the only thing you should have done, should have fought the Esusu, rather than telling him to marry some woman. That was not the end of his problem. And from there, he married them. There was another issue. His son's life almost got into the line. Then the last thing that was the solution was to fight the Esusu. Come on. I think the Babalawo should have known this, rather than taking him through the whole journey of wanting him to marry another 5 wives, or almost getting his son killed. These are things that we need to ask ourselves, because as human, I maybe I'm the only maybe I'm just overreacting. I just felt like the whole story was a little bit lagging, and it was a little bit underwhelming at the point, and it could have been less episodes and maybe engaging, because at the point maybe three, four, five, I was already tired. I was already tired of the storytelling. Now follow me on this journey. I really need to make it make sense to you. Now, Kola Ajayemi went to use his seven wives. Are you following? Yes, went to use his seven wives to to make his life span long. So having done that, he now clocked like 90. He was already sick. He was already sick, and he was asking for death. He was begging for death, and he couldn't see death. And around that time, it was around maybe 100 or thereabout. That one is established. The Babalawo that was with him did not get old. Esusu himself, let's say he is a supernatural being, but at least should have gotten old. Why would Kola Jejemi be old and haggard, and the Babalawo Alebiosu was not old, and Esusu was not old? Make it make sense. I think that's a flop from the end that they needed to attend to. It was a really big flop that I couldn't overlook. Trust me. I think it's one of the biggest, because as minute as it is, they could have paid attention to that part, because if the king that couldn't see death, as a matter of fact, the Babalawo self shouldn't be alive, because at that point he was still older than Kola Ajayemi, and when he had already been old, he was still the same age that he was when Kola Ajayemi was still young as a king, and still the same age that he is when he's old now. It's these are errors that they ought to have fixed, and I couldn't just overlook it. I think they should have, in my opinion, they should have given us a key background to Muyiwa Ademola's character. How did he get his riches? Who was he? Why was the feud so hot? How did he get so much influence on the chiefs that had so much influence on the community? It wasn't as if he had more charms. The only difference was that he had more money, and they couldn't get to him, and they didn't give a background as to why he got his money. It was not just explainable. These are questions we need to ask the producers. This being said, this movie still remains my top five of the best movie in 2024, and that's no cap. And I must be very sincere with you. Uncle Femi Adebayo has done so great during this movie, and it is a great one for me. Talk of the performances, Chioma Chukwukapota, you are a fabulous actor, and you have my respect all day, all time. Trust me. Susu Ali Gafar, I've not seen you in a movie before. I think this is my first time, but you performed well. Uncle Femi Adebayo, you did absolutely well. And everybody in this movie, they brought their A game, and that is a good one. The visual effects is a banger. The cinematography is a banger. The set design is a banger. The storyline might be better, but it is still a relatable one and an enjoyable one. So that was it on the review of Seven Doors. And let me know what is your opinion about my review, and let me know if I did well or I didn't. So thank you very much. See you in my next review video.